Okay, record on this computer is activated. And now let's get Ann-Katrin Lund Quottrup in. Lei pensa che stiamo facendo una prova, ma invece non sa che stiamo già registrando e verrà usata nel podcast. Ok, here we go. Hey!
Ok, tutto a posto?
Tutto perfetto.
Okay.
So how is everything?
Oh, it's quite okay. It seems like it's getting a little better now. This week here, it's speeding up a little more.
Yeah.
We can really feel it, getting more inquiries, getting more projects. But of course, there will be missing a lot. No doubt about that.
Of course.
Same thing.
Yeah, but this is changing the world.
Yeah.
It is not so much in Denmark. You have not this feeling it's so much in Denmark, but at least it is anyhow.
Yeah. You know, I think it's very difficult to understand the feeling if you're not living that specific super emergency cases like in Italy or Spain. This was my feeling when I came to Italy 1 month ago from New York.
Yeah.
And everything was okay there. And coming in Bologna, everybody with the mask and social distancing.
But I think you were lucky that you got out of New York at that time because
true.
Because after you left, it was not okay anymore.
Yeah. No, it's everybody in Italy was telling me, come home, because here everybody's freaking out. But in US, everything was still okay. Until I left, 2 days later, they locked down everything and a lot of cases come up.
Yeah, so, but here there have not been any really chaos in this kind. I mean, everything have been quite quiet, done, and we haven't been closed down completely. You could still, the shops were still open. Of course, some of it was closed down.
It's so loud in my ears. Yeah, come on. No, it is not the same like in Italy. Of course not. We have 500 people in hospital and 500 deaths. What we have?
Yeah.
Let me have a look.
500
deaths. It's
no, definitely a different situation.
Very little.
Yeah.
Very little.
This is what I also see with the countries we work in Northern Europe, such as Germany or Austria. They were still working even during lockdown, during those 2-3 weeks. The only orders came from there, actually.
Yeah, but Germany still is working. We have German customers too, where they are working. I know some dealers in Germany. Yeah, but they have. And here it is strange because when you go to Copenhagen, so you have this feeling of town, and there you can see whether it's moving or not. But when you're sitting outside here, it's in the garden almost, We're sitting now in our winter garden. It is so far away from everything.
Yeah.
It's difficult to get close to the world, what is happening. You're just digital. It's that.
It is. We yeah, exactly. We decided to do this new series of podcasts. So this is a new podcast called Worldwide Design. Will be several appointments with different players in the interior design or architectural field from all over the places and from all over the different countries. And I'm lucky and I'm really grateful that you accepted this invitation, because I really was aiming to have your point of view as well. And I think in the end it will be very interesting to see all the different reaction and different interviews from people all over the world.
It's a good idea, I think. You get really Philip stuck to do something.
No, not really. Maybe next year, maybe during the second season after this first one. But we have very nice and interesting interior design and designers from US, Europe, Africa as well. And so it will be very interesting. And along with me will be Marco Fontana, which is hand drawing live during the interview. Yeah.
Hi.
He's I'm Marco. He's a creative director of Tecnografica.
From his artwork in Tecnografica, no? Marco Fontana is doing a lot for you, for you.
We are doing, everybody's doing a lot, yeah. But he is working very well. Now I'm saying this only because it will pay me after the episode. And
we will see.
Yeah, it will.
We will find other designers too. Maybe we can ask Patrick Norgay. He's not bad. That could be a possibility.
I need to have some references so that for the second season I can also go for those ones. But in the meantime, I'm really happy you've been accepted this. And we will during this podcast, the main topics will be mainly design, the digital revolution, the digital innovation, and some ideas about what's going on and what will happen after this situation, which I think is something that will really change the way we work, we live, for good, I think. So my first question for you is very simple, and just we would like to know who you are, what you do, a description of yourself for our community, which is aiming to know what's your job and what is your profession.
Yeah.
Okay, I start. I'm German, and my normal profession is I'm coming from the fashion side. So it's clothes design and has nothing to do with furniture. So after the school and everything, I started to go out in the world and doing total different things. Like I worked a lot with tourism, and coming back in the 90s to Berlin. So I'm since then in the furniture business. And in 2003, I met Brian and came to Denmark. So I feel very European, and I am creative, I think, but I'm a seller at the end of the day, no doubt. And today we are having our agency company since now 17 years, and it is working, and we love our job, of course.
So our company is QQ Design, and as Ann-Katrin says, we have been working in this brand together for 17 years. I have been within furniture, first more like office furnitures, and now in the last many years more designed furnitures and then designed products. But I have been in this business all my life. So that is many years now. My name is Brian, as I said, yes.
And I think this is also very interesting, because since you are in this field, you've been in this field for a long time, you have a lot of experience in this. It will be very interesting to understand your point of view. So what do you think in terms of how this COVID-19 disease will change also your profession, your work, or if you think that it will not affect that so much?
I think it is funny because we are a generation who knows the world as well without any mobile phone. So in this case, for us, it's just like going back to the old times, because in some way, because at that time we had nothing from the digital, and we had to manage anyhow. And I have this feeling we worked very well that time too. So now we have more time, but we have no more time. So we have more time with all the digital, but we have anyhow the feeling we have not much more time. So I think it will just mix it. You will not stop to have a personal contact. It is not possible to stop the personal contact. I don't think so. It will do so much. But we can see it already because of mailing or sending catalogs and all these kind of things. We do already by digital. So this is going more, but without personal contact, no deal.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
totally agree.
So it will change, but it will not drastically change.
I think the personal contact would be a little less, but I still think that
as close.
that this chemistry there is between people, and especially when you're doing business to business sales, is really important, because it is long-lasting sales, and it's business relationships where you have to count on each other. And without looking each other in the eyes and finding out, do I want to work with this person, then it won't function, I don't think. It's a little different when you are doing business with end users, because in this case it's a one sale that and nobody expects them to come back again later on. So therefore, I think you can do that much more digital than you can do it with B2B business.
I totally agree. I mean, the face-to-face relationship is something that will last forever, especially if you want to have a long-term relationship with a partner or with a client. And I was listening to an interview from Harari, which is a Palestinian writer, very good one, and he said basically that also this type of interviews or video chat, they are less intimate than either have a face-to-face conversation for real, or also having a phone conversation. Because on the phone conversation, you are 100% focused on the conversation itself. Maybe you are in pajama and outside, but you are listening. While in this type of interviews, you're not there for real, but you have to create an environment. You have to, even though you're not the real face-to-face. So I think this is also something that will change a bit the way people will work. But how do you think, for example, the design culture or the trends in Denmark will change, in Scandinavia will change after this situation? Do you think it will change something? Or
Denmark is quite special in this case, because Denmark has this very big and heavy heritage of design country. We are a design country because the big designers coming from Denmark, we feel it. So that is the basic. Then the Danish design started for 10 years ago about growing big, really big, more big than ever. There are so many new brands. So this Danish and Scandinavian design is built up on minimalism, and minimalism is that as well. This trend will be as well. Minimalism is something what we are talking about when we rethink this world. It's not more. No, it's less. Yeah. More and more of less and less.
A feeling I am feeling right now is that, especially in Italy or Southern Europe, where this disease impact most people, and the lockdown was more severe. There's a lot of people that have been at home for 2 months straight.
Yeah.
So they've been able to see the furniture they have in their home, in their house, the walls, and maybe they are thinking now to do a renovation. So maybe this will push a bit also the residential projects from this point of view.
We see it here on the market here, and the big companies supporting with do-it-yourself products have not been closed in Denmark, and they have a big boom, and things like new kitchens, as the whole kitchen companies, they are booming as well at the moment, because now they are at the time. And I'm sure that some of the in environment and all the as a furniture and decoration business is going to grow now as well. Because as you say, there's a lot of ideas that's popped up now when people have had nothing to do with than looking on
they're seeing those with white walls or
and I think especially for the wallpaper business, it good. Now they've been looking at the same wall for the last 6 to 8 weeks, so they want a color change there.
Yeah, of course, in the sales, yes, but the design itself, this will not be influenced by it. I don't think so.
As a for
trends,
I think in some kind of way, in this kind of way that you can say this has brought us a little back to basic again.
Back to the
so and therefore I think the kind of trend and design that we have had here in the Scandinavian countries was a lot based on this basic needs. As you had a chair, and a chair is made to sit in, and that is the main function. Then you can do a lot of things to get it to look good, but at the end of the day, it's a question: are you sitting comfortable and it's look good? And that is what we have been doing for many years here. That it's basic, minimalistic, and that is of course a trend that started up before this whole problems, but I think it's going to be maybe even more. Or on the other hand, people need something more flamboyant or something like that, where it has to be more colorful. I don't know, but it could go both ways.
Because we have to say that also you are doing a difficult job from certain point of view, because you are proposing, let's say, Southern European style in the Nordic market.
In this country,
which is very focused on minimal, and they're very proud about the designer and the design that they have, the design companies that they have. So from this point of view, it could be something interesting for you, because maybe people, they're looking for something different in their home because they're working from home more than ever, and so it's different from before.
Yeah, but the trend have been up to this wall came here, have been that the people was looking a little away from that. It's only have to be minimalistic, so that it started up, and things like curtains, for instance, was almost impossible to sell in the Scandinavian countries over the last 10 years, because they have to be so minimalistic. So even curtains at the windows were not used. So that was only blinds that you wrote down or something. And that is back again. So you have to, so the people are looking a little for this cozy feeling at the same time. So, and that is the question, how do you get this cozy feeling?
But the world is hard enough. That is because they are looking for the cozy feelings as well, of course.
True.
And here, I can't understand why the Danes are always with this black, white, gray, always these kind of colors, because it's Denmark and the whole north is quite dark in winter. Is very, and it's a lot of rain and all this. So now we have the best time in the year, of course. Yeah. We can be very lucky that we have now this story with the virus, and not in November. That would be horrible. So,
super depressing from that point of view.
Absolutely, yes. It could, when you have just to stay home, and outside is only gray.
It's dark,
Boom, boom. No, so the weather, that helps as well, and to get out, and we have beautiful weather now. Springtime is so nice. It's the best time in the year up here.
Yeah, I've been with you in Copenhagen, and it's amazing.
Yeah.
And what do you think about the, yesterday I was talking with a Miami designer, and we talked a bit about the offices, that maybe this is something that will also change after this situation, because there was a trend of this open space offices, but now there is this needs of social distancing and have some barriers between people. So do you think that this will affect the office field and the office projects?
Yeah, I think there are a lot less people. They will move to their offices. this home office thing will get more and more important, pretty sure. And I don't know, this social, yeah, of course, you will not have the people so close to each other in the offices. Even they are there, so they need more space. When they want to have the same amount of people in the same room, then they need more space. But I think they will send a lot of people home, and that will be a big part. The home office.
The thing is, in Scandinavia in total, we have been talking a lot about this home officing for many years now.
Yeah.
But it seems like that we couldn't break this barrier to really get started on it. And now we were forced into it. And a lot of companies have found out it's actually functioning. Yeah. And why should they change it now? They can go down, the headquarters would have more, would have less square meters. They don't need the big buildings anymore.
Less costs.
And then they will have to find a way to be social at the same time. And that is probably the biggest problem, to get this feeling to be a part of something when you're just sitting at home and working. Huh?
Yeah, so, and from that point of view, maybe people will look into having something for their smart working, to have a smart office at home. So they need to have something to find a difference between the kitchen and the living room, and they don't want to work on the same place where they do breakfast. And so maybe this will also be.
Yes, it have to be. So they have to do something. So we have friends here that had to work from home and were used to these height adjustable tables, and started to get her back was starting to hurt her. So in the end, she took her ironing board that you could adjust in the height. So she was sitting with her computer at the ironing board to get the right height. So definitely there will be a market there for smaller workspaces at home now. Definitely.
You know, it's interesting because I think this is something I've always thought that Northern Europe, Scandinavia, or US, they are already working in some kind of way from this point of view. So working from home or working more digitally. In some countries like Italy or Spain, there is not this type of way of working yet. And so people have been forced in one day to do that. And people are finding out now that this is something that they can do. And this is not something that is impossible, but they are really starting to think about that. And this would be definitely something that will change the way of working in the future. I'm home right now, myself, and maybe right now it's better for me to be home because there's more quietness and we can do this interview without interrupting or someone entering the door with 150 problems. So
I was at a seminar short ago before the whole virus came, and there they were talking about every time you get disturbed when you're sitting and working really concentrated on something, it will take you more or less 3/4 of an hour before you get back into the same situation where you're so focused again. So if you're sitting in an open office, it's almost impossible not to get disturbed. At least once an hour, and in this case, then you're not working as good as you could, and therefore a lot of people will find out they are much more concentrated and can get much more done when they're working from home. So in this case, but of course, I don't know how digitalized you are in Italy. If everybody can work from home and if it's functioning good enough for you.
You know, it's in this period, Italians found out that two things. One, that we have been able to follow the rules, and this is something that nobody was actually expecting. So we've been good from this point of view. And thank you. And the other thing is that there were some problems in terms of working from home or schooling from home as well, because a lot of people, especially in southern Italy, there's a lot of families that they don't have, for example, access to computers or to the wireless network. This is something that needs to be filled up in the future, otherwise we will remain back. So this is a problem that we saw. But from the other hand, we also saw that the majority of people have been able to work from home, to continue working from home, and to face this situation in a good way.
But you need as well, you need first the boss or the leading person in the company have to trust you with your homework. So, and you have to be a special person to work from home. There are people they can't work from home. They just go mad because they start to do 50 other things before they sit at the computer, or they don't get out of the bed in the morning or whatever. So it's not for everybody, this homeworking either. That we have to face. So I think there are a lot of jobs you can do from home. I think it's a great idea because we don't need to move all the time. We don't need to drive into town to get to our jobs and so on. That is something really, really good because it's much more easy with transporting. The highway will be not so full up, all these kind of stuff. So for the climate, it's good because we're not moving so much. But on the other hand, there are always some people they have to do like before. So I think that is not, it will never stop totally, that people meet for the job. And there are so many jobs as well where you have to be at the place where it's happening, like supermarket or whatever.
True. You know, it's also a matter of mentality, I think. Now we are organizing these like academy, where basically we are organizing Zoom meetings or webinars where we are training vendors or partners and clients. And this is something that, especially in Italy, people were not used to do. And they didn't want to do that. They wanted you to come and show the samples. And yes, of course, this is also always very useful. But right now we are doing, for example, 10, 15 appointments per day with people from all over the country. So from Naples to Milan to Rome in one day. And this wouldn't be possible if we had to take the car 3 hours to Milan and then 3 hours to Modena and then 3 other hours to Rome. And you do 2 appointments and you spend €100 in gasoline. And right now, but it's a matter of mentality.
Yeah, definitely.
And here we have to pay the bridge on top.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So, but here as well, there's a lot of companies that have had this where they have different places in the country where they maybe met once a week, and half of them had to drive 300-400 kilometers to get there, and they found out they can just as well do this kind of meetings over Skype or over FaceTime, and it's not a big difference. It's just a habit that you have to change, and suddenly you'll find out you have some habits that is just not needed.
You know, I took out this topic because I wanted to know your opinion in terms of the role of sales agents and traditional vendors in this new era. Do you think? What's your opinion on that?
I think we are very important, of course.
Yeah, I know. I know you.
We are very important. No, we are very important, and I can tell you why. I think it is a connection. It's a question of connection. And when you're a long time in the business, everybody knows you at the end of the day in the country like this. We are 5.5 million people here. And I think at a certain point you have, you are, I will not say you are famous because we are not famous in this way, but at least there are a lot of people they know.
Known in your field, very known in your field.
So, and when you work with furniture and interiors and over 20, 30 years, then you're just known, and you know the people they're doing what, of course. And I think that is the first thing. And it's always nice to be represented in a country with somebody who's talking the language. It's very different, I think, and it's necessary to have a sales agent. Yes, I think sales agent is the most easy to manage for a company when you find the right one.
Yeah.
That is
totally agree.
That
totally
is
agree
the
with
most difficult. That is the most difficult. There are a lot of guys, they just go out and say, okay, it's the fast money making, and it is not. It's really a tough job, and especially when you come with European things to Denmark, where all the Danes say, no, we have the best design, we will buy Danish. They love Danish.
They have to trust you to buy different products.
Yes. And the thing is that a lot of products are really similar. Maybe not so much on the wallpaper side, but on furnitures and things. The products, you have to know the difference to see, because you can't see it with your eyes. And in this case, when you come out at the end of the day, if the customer, especially B2B customer, is going to choose one chair or the other chair, then it's the person who is showing it to them that is going to make the difference. Because the chairs are looking almost the same, the comfort is almost the same. So there it's a question about, do you like and do you prefer to buy from this person or from that person?
Yeah, and trust.
And trust, well. and of course.
Oh, it was funny. I had the Orgatech in Cologne ask for a survey and ask for what was your opinion for virtual fairs. Where I say, no, it's not possible. You need to have the product in your hand. We are not selling assurances. We are selling a product, and that is, I think, that is therefore it's necessary to have the product and to have the person who is presenting this product.
Yeah, I think this period will help some companies to maybe improve from the digital point of view. But then once it is finished, you always have to see the products, touch the products. And also, from my experience, I see that designers, architects, and vendors, they love to go to exhibitions and shows and meet people and see products. As you said, we're not selling scraps. We're selling things that most of the time they have a very high value, and most of the time an high cost as well. So people we choose based on different things, and one of these is definitely the trust they have in the representatives they talk with.
Yeah, I think as well for a lot of architects, one of the biggest problems.
Marco is doing the. Marco, ma che fai? The Little Mermaid. What
no, I think for a lot of architects, they are supposed to push to our feelings as well, but they are sitting and working most of the time behind big screens, and to be able to know who is going to use their products in the end of the day, they have to be in contact with the public as well, and with the suppliers, the ones that is going at the end to make the products that they are proposing. So I think they need to come, especially the architects. They need to come out and see the world.
Definitely. I think the Milan exhibition of 2021 will be the reopen of the official reopening of everything, even because Milan was one of the most struck cities in terms of this disease, and the Salone del Mobile is the most important exhibition in terms of furniture. And the fact that this year was cancelled, it really impacted the field.
Yeah, the whole market.
Yeah. Of course.
Even from a psychological point of view, because people were used to have this appointment every year and go there and see the new things, the new materials, and see people, other sales agents, other partners from all over the countries. it's a small world, and this year
the
was not possible to do
thing
that.
is as well for us. It's had always been a question about when you get to Milan, you get loaded up your batteries again. You get new inspiration. You come home full of energy, and now we are suddenly missing this new push. But of course, what we are doing now is pushing this energy as well. And I think that in this kind of way, the digital world have to think a little different as you are, and that will be able to take some of the things or catch up some of the things that we are going to miss this year, but of course not all of it.
Every crisis is an opportunity, and this is no exception. But of course, it's always a combination of different things. In this case, I think it's always a combination of digital marketing or things like this one that we are doing, but also very important, the face-to-face conversation, the trust that people have in you, and the real relationship.
It have to be a mix. It can't be different. Okay, of course we have to take care about this situation now and with this virus, of course, but it will change something. It will never be like before. I'm pretty sure it will change, but not only to the bad. I mean, it can change in so many different ways. We have to see how to manage. Something very important is that everybody is in the same boat, at least. We are. Yeah. I think here it's really world. It is the world.
Is the first time that there is a global pandemic like this one, and everybody's also connected from a digital point of view. So everybody knows that everybody is feeling the same thing, and this is the first time it happens in history, because in other situations like World War II, World War I, or 1918 Spagnola disease, people really were able to do that.
Yeah, it was only parts. Like,
but we have to be careful that we are not going to close ourselves in more and more. That is the only thing where I can see that could be something that could be terrible from this disease if everybody is closing themselves more and more in, and getting more and more protective. That could happen, and
we don't have to be afraid.
And I don't think that would be a good idea.
Yeah, it's also difficult from some people because the economic impact is also, you can feel it. And so for some people it would be very, very difficult. And usually when you have this type of economic difficulties, you tend to rely on, for example, nationalistic governors or politicians.
And Stefano, nobody knows a shit, at least.
Yeah.
Don't know nothing. And even experts don't know nothing.
Yeah.
So that is something as well where I say it's the first time that nobody knows for sure what happens here and when we will have a vaccine and when we will have a medicine and what will happen in the future. We don't know. We don't even know when the borders will be open. I'm sitting here, I can't go to Germany because the border is closed. Come on. That is so crazy, I think. And that is against the European thinking as well.
Yeah.
So for me, it's really, I think it will influence our travel habit. That is the next thing. Flights will be more expensive. It is not so easy just to say, okay, I go for a weekend to Bologna, for example.
This is something that we, have a good espresso in our factory, for example.
I would love to come, but you see,
and that I must say, I was really impressed. This guided tour you made for the factory. I really enjoyed it, and that is a really good idea. And I will use it towards our bigger customers as well, and show it to them. And it definitely got me to the idea that I will try when we can travel again to get more important windows down to visit you.
Definitely looking forward. This is something that we did in order to maintain some kind of attention on us, but also to show that we're still alive, not as a factory, but as companies, as Italians. Because right now I see that every country, or at least this is what I'm seeing in Italy, there's a real national feeling. So everybody now is proud to be Italian, to face this situation together. And last time that this feeling was like this was during the World Cup in 2006 when we won. So it was about 15 years ago. And so this is a positive thing. And the interesting thing I'm seeing during these interviews that I'm doing with people from all over the places is that the feeling is mostly the same. So people have a positive attitude in facing this, and trusting that in the future there will be good opportunities and we will be good again.
Yeah, and I think that you're not so focused only on yourself in this case, and that is a positive thing. You're trying to think bigger.
True. Guys, I don't want to take any more of your time. Thanks so much for being with us, Katrin and Brian. We will broadcast this in the next 2 weeks, I think. So we will update you as soon as we do it.
Okay, super.
And
okay.
we're here, looking forward to see each other live again.
Yeah, definitely.
That is even better than this.
Yeah. More. Yeah.
Okay. Take care.
Thanks so much. Take
Okay.
care.
Bye.
Be safe. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Ciao.